The restaurant was calm that evening, wrapped in a warm golden glow from chandeliers shimmering against crystal glasses and spotless white tablecloths. It was the sort of place where voices softened into whispers, and even a laugh felt out of place. But that night, the quiet at one particular table spoke louder than any sound in the room. A man in his early 30s sat there, restless, his fingers brushing the edge of the menu. Across from him was a woman with her gaze lowered, her breath slightly uneven. They were both carrying wounds, though only one of them knew the truth behind the moment. Before we continue, if you believe in compassion, in second chances, and in valuing hearts over appearances, please like, comment, share, and subscribe to Stories of Kindness. Every gesture helps us spread stories that remind the world what humanity truly looks like. His name was Ethan, a single father who had endured more in 5 years than most people face in decades. After losing his wife to cancer, he became both mom and dad to his 6-year-old daughter, Lily. Life had been harsh, 2 jobs, school pickups, bills piling endlessly. Yet Ethan carried himself with a quiet dignity. He wasn't the man who complained, he was the one who smiled through the struggle, because he knew little eyes depended on him. Unfortunately, his coworkers never understood that strength. To them, Ethan was the dull dad, the quiet guy who never partied or dated. They thought he needed excitement, so out of boredom and misplaced humor, they decided to set him up on a blind date. As a prank. A joke they planned to record for their group chat. They chose Rachel, a gentle, soft-hearted woman who had spent much of her life being judged for her body instead of her character. She had no idea she was part of their scheme. To her, it was simply a chance to meet someone who might finally look beyond the surface. Ethan arrived wearing his cleanest white shirt, the one Lily lovingly called his lucky shirt. Rachel had spent hours gathering the courage to show up. She'd been stood up before, mocked before, but she still chose to try again. The moment she walked in and spotted 3 men at another table, snickering with a phone raised just slightly, her heart dropped. Something felt wrong. As the date began, Ethan sensed her unease. She barely lifted her eyes, bracing herself for pity. The silence between them grew heavy, with all the fears neither dared speak. Behind them, the men filmed tiny clips, giggling quietly, certain they were capturing another funny moment. Then something changed. Ethan looked at Rachel, really looked. He didn't see what the world mocked, he saw what pain had tried to hide. There was warmth in her eyes, the kind that survives years of hurt and still chooses gentleness. He broke the silence gently, asking about her day, her dreams, her work. She hesitated at first, but his sincerity slowly loosened her guard. They began talking about family, books, and life's strange tests. For the first time that night, Rachel's smile appeared naturally, no longer forced. Meanwhile, the men continued recording, waiting for Ethan to realize it was a prank, expecting him to walk out or humiliate her. But what happened next left them stunned. After dinner, Ethan stood, smiled at Rachel, and asked her to wait. Then he walked straight over to the men's table. Their smirks vanished as he approached. He calmly set his phone on their table and said, "I know what you're doing." One tried to laugh it off, but Ethan's voice, steady and firm, cut through their excuses. "You think it's funny to humiliate people. You treat pain like entertainment, but let me tell you something. The strongest people I've met are the ones you mock. People who still show up, still believe in love, still choose kindness even when the world hasn't given them much kindness back." The restaurant fell still. Even the soft background music seemed to hush. "You set me up with one of the most genuine people I've met in years," Ethan continued. "So thank you, because your joke didn't break anyone. If anything, it reminded me that real kindness still exists." He walked back to Rachel, who watched with tears trembling in her eyes. Ethan pulled out her chair and said softly, "Let's finish dinner. I'd rather spend time with someone real than with people who forgot what that means." Behind him, the men sat frozen, shame replacing their earlier amusement. One slowly lowered his phone. What started as a cruel setup had turned into something far more powerful. Rachel's tears weren't from sadness, but from the feeling, rare to her, that someone had seen her true worth without judgment. Ethan smiled at her and said, "You know, my daughter always says beauty is what makes people feel safe. I think she's right." The heaviness of the evening faded. They talked for hours, about life, resilience, and the quiet strength born from surviving loss. 2 people cracked by life, finding small pieces of hope in each other. By the end of the night, Ethan asked if he could see her again. Rachel's trembling smile said yes. Outside, under the street lamp, they said goodbye. The same 3 men who had mocked them quietly deleted the video from their phones. Their laughter was gone, replaced by an uncomfortable silence. Later that night, as Ethan walked home, he realized how strange life could be. A heartless joke had led to something real, a lesson not just for the men who filmed them, but for anyone watching. The next morning he told Lily about his dinner. Lily listened with wide, innocent eyes before whispering, "Daddy, I think Mommy sent her to us." Ethan smiled, swallowing his emotions. Maybe she did. Weeks passed, and Ethan and Rachel continued seeing each other. What began as a prank grew into something profound, a bond grounded in understanding, not appearances. And when those same men saw them months later, walking hand in hand with little Lily, they realized the joke had never been on Ethan or Rachel. It had been on them. If this story touched your heart, please like, share, and subscribe to Stories of Kindness. The world needs reminders that kindness is never wasted, and love always finds its way home. Before you go, comment below, kindness is stronger than cruelty. Because sometimes a cruel setup becomes the beginning of a beautiful story, one that changes everyone involved forever.